Hi and welcome back to another video. I literally just put on the camera and decided that I wanted to record something, and so I don't really have any plan for this video. Normally I'll really plan things out on my notes app and make sure that I know what I'm talking about, but I kind of just want to catch up about all the things I've been reading so far this year, my goals for the year. Basically, all those videos I haven't been filming because I've been very preoccupied with school and also editing the New York vlog that I wanted to get out in January, but look where we are. So yeah, I guess this is just a giant combination video. I guess the first thing I should start with is the total number of books I read last year, which was 154, which I am very happy with since my goal was 150. I was so sure at the end that I wouldn't reach it. However, I did manage to, and I even went for above, largely because of travelling and airplane time. I have been slowly releasing my Reading Awards video, which are most of my favourite books. However, there are a few I specifically want to touch on because they are just... I still find myself thinking of these. I'm trying to go to sleep, just like brain, stop thinking any thoughts, just let me rest. And then certain books just keep coming back to me, and then I just lie awake for hours thinking about the characters and the plot and literally everything that's happened. Okay, so the first one I'm going to go get is The Poppy War. So this book, it kind of pains me to think about this book because... Okay, the people who have read the entire trilogy will know exactly what I'm talking about here. But if I'm going to speak about just the first book alone, this book has so many great elements into it. It covers so many deep topics such as war and violence. It has, Morally Grey being a trope. If you want to search Morally Grey on Google, this should be the book that comes up first. I've been slowly making my way through annotating it, and I've gotten about halfway because I was rereading this one to annotate it. And my mum was really nice, and she let me basically spend half an hour to 45 minutes just explaining to her the entire plot of the trilogy, because I just couldn't get this out of my head and I just need to talk to someone. None of my friends have read it, and so I've been scrolling on Goodreads and Fable and literally every bookish platform there is, trying to get someone to just say, yes, this book is incredible, let's talk about why. So the basic premise of the book is we're following a girl named Rin, and she lives in this really, really poor village, and she was forcefully adopted because she was a war orphan, and every family had to adopt an orphan after the war if they didn't have 2 kids or something already. And her family is planning on marrying her off, which she really doesn't like, and I think she's 14 or something really ridiculous. Anyway, so she starts to train for this huge examination called the Keju. I'm probably going to butcher so many of these names. But anyway, the Keju. And this exam is the hardest exam she's ever going to take. Her tutor thinks that since she only has 2 years left to study for it, then there's no way she'll ever pass. But she is determined. And she really wants to get into this war academy called Synagard because it's the only one that offers free tuition. And so I don't know how much I can give away without spoiling it, but if you don't want to hear more, just go to here. And then so she gets into Synagard, and we're following how she tries to survive at the school, make sure she stays in the school, the people she meets, being thrust into a war that she barely knows anything about, her discovering power that she's never known, and the tragedy after tragedy after tragedy that happens to her over these 3 books. Kind of reminds me of The Hunger Games in the way that the relationships and the love is not the point of the book. That is not the point of this series at all. However, it's still such an important aspect to the reader. Anyway, yeah, I'm not going to shut up about this book for a while. Let me just read you some of the quotes. When she says, war doesn't determine who's right, war determines who remains. And children cease to be children when you put a sword into their hands. There are just so many quotes that are so hard-hitting. Okay, we're going to move on now because me and you both don't have the time for me to ramble about this endlessly. Okay, so next for some of my favourites is the Fourth Wing trilogy. Okay, I have a lot to say about this. So I read these 2 books back in February last year. So it's been like a year. Wow. That's really weird to think about. It doesn't feel that long ago. Anyway, I read this series last year. Loved it. Completely obsessed with it. Incredible. Really desperate to know what happened at the end of this one. And finally, I pre-ordered this book. I got a hold of Onyx Storm. I squealed so loudly when this got to my door. What to say? Okay, I think I'm going to start with, this series is top tier to me. I don't think there's much the writer could do at this point to remove this series as a top tier one. And I gave this book 5 stars. Just spoiler, I gave this book 5 stars. And I know that as people read it, they do say that the plot's kind of confusing at first. And I just want to say that I feel like this is very intentional. You're supposed to not entirely know what's happening, and I think there's supposed to be so many plots moving at once to kind of make you feel how Violet is feeling, because there are so many things going through her head and she has to think about so many things at once, that when this is happening to us and we see what she is going through and what she's feeling, it means that when all the puzzle pieces finally fall into place, it's a lot more satisfying. Let's talk about the romance in this. Ooh. It's like, this series starts with enemies to lovers, then it's like second chance romance, and now I suppose this one is the forbidden love, I guess? Let's go with that. I'm not going to spoil anything, but if you finish this book and you know the ending, then you know exactly why I'm completely desperate to find out what happens in book 4, just like 300,000 other people. Oh, and yeah, favourite series of the year. I'm just like everybody else. I'm not going to do a book haul right now of all the books I've recently gotten, because I really want to do this, like, customizing my bookshelf video, completely redoing it, making it into my own, like, really, really mini library, obviously, because I obviously don't have over 1,000 books. So I'll do that then. However, I can show you my journal, what I've been doing this year. I'm really, really happy when I journal. It's really, really fun. I think I've done like 3 pages since I last updated you with the Heartstopper page. So let's see. Okay, so yeah, I did a page for the Poppy Wall. And just going through this and noting down all the quotes was hard-hitting. I'm gonna move on, but if you can't tell, this is like one of the highest recommendations I can ever give you. Like, even if you're not into fantasy, just read this book. Okay, and then I did a page for The Cruel Prince. I really like doing this page because I got to use colours that I didn't normally get to. I really liked using like the greenish gold colours. And the quote, "If I cannot be better than them, I will become so much worse," is like a quote I wish you could inject into my bloodstream. Then I did Powerless and Reckless. I'm very excited for Fearless, which is coming out in, it's either March or April. And I'm slightly disappointed that they didn't make the petals yellow. I'm sure there's a reason, but if you know what I mean, you know what I mean. This was also nice to do because I liked splitting the colour scheme between 2 different pages so I could do completely different things, but them all being part of the same story. This text here and here took me minimum 15 minutes each because I'm so bad at drawing fonts and everything, but I think it's very rewarding. And then literally like a couple hours ago, I did Caraval. Now, I finished the trilogy this year, and it's marinated a lot for me, and I think I've decided that I really, really love the first one. The actual book, Caraval, is like 4.5 stars, really good story. I loved the romance. I loved the magical realism part. The audiobook was incredible. And then 2 and 3 just kind of fell a bit flat for me. I gave 2 3 stars because it was still okay. And I gave the third one 3.5 stars, I'm pretty sure, because we did get a bit of Scarlett's perspective again in that one. But it's clear the author had a favourite sister. And let's just say I disagree. So that's a reading journal update. Let's talk about the books I've read this year. So at time of recording, it is February 1st, and so I read 8 books in January, which I'm quite happy with because I really do want to slow it down a lot this year. One of my 2025 goals is to read more strategically, I guess. Like, really think about the books that I want to read, not just finishing a book because I feel like I have to. I want to read slower and really appreciate what the writer is saying. And I also want to no longer be scared of classics and longer books and adult fiction just because I want to hit a reading goal. So if you follow my Goodreads, then you'll know that I put a goal of 50, but that's purely for the sake of it tracks it better. So the first book I read this year was On the Same Page. I gave this book 3.25 stars. It's this LGBT romance between these two people who are like bestest of friends, and they've been friends for like, I don't know, was it 10 years or something? It was fun, it was a good time, but it got quite repetitive in the second half of the book, but I'm still quite happy I read it. Next I read Legendary, which is the second book in Caraval. As I said, I gave it 3 stars, really not much to say about it. Then I discovered, okay, so I keep saying I'm not going to keep talking about the Poppy War, but I promise this is the last time. So the Poppy War has 3 main books: The Poppy War, The Dragon Republic, and The Burning God. And then I found out there's like this 15-page extra one that's free online called The Drowning Faith. And so obviously I immediately read that. I'm just counting it as a book I've read this year because it has a name and a whole Goodreads thing. So it's fine. It doesn't matter that it's 15 pages. 5 stars. If you know, you know. That's all I can say. I definitely only recommend this if you've completed this series because it's like completely spoiling 2 and 3. I read it after 3, which I quite like the order of, and I also read it like a week or 2 after I finished the series, which allowed me to return to the characters even momentarily. So I definitely think it's worth the read. Okay, next I read, I'm going to count this as my first 5 star of the year because whilst I did give Drowning Faith 5 stars, it was part of a series that I was already obsessed with, so does it really count? And it's only 15 pages. But anyway, that was Funny Story by Emily Henry. Now, I didn't completely not expect to enjoy this as much as I did. I was in the mood for something just a light, quick read after I finished The Poppy War. And it was that, but it was also deep and emotional, and it made me laugh so many times, and the couple is just the sweetest ever. Like, it's really an acts of service kind of relationship, and it's something I think it's one of the highest rated romance books I've ever given. So after that, I read Happy Place because I wanted to see if all of Emily Henry's books were like this, because I really liked Beach Read, and I gave that one 4 stars. So I thought maybe I'll like her other ones. Happy Place was a 3 star. I liked it more than Legendary as a 3 star, but it was still just a fun time. There was not as much wow factor in it as there was for Funny Story for me. So I skipped over Finale, which is the last book in the Caraval series. Again, not much to say about it, but I am happy I get to read Spectacular. I wish I'd finished this for Christmas. I might even save it for Christmas. Is that a bad idea? We'll see if I'm in the mood for something Christmassy. And then most recently, obviously, I read Onyx Storm, which again, 5 stars. So really, this is quite a good reading year so far. 3 5-star books and nothing less than 3 stars. It could be significantly worse. The other cool thing is last year my highest average rated demographic, so like whether it was middle grade or young adult or adult, was young adult. But all my 5-star books this year have been adult books. So maybe this is a sign from the universe that I need to stop being scared of longer adult books because I think the language will be too hard for my little brain to digest. In terms of what I'm currently reading, I'm like 20 pages away from finishing The Notebook, which my dad recommended to me. And nothing's really happened. That's my problem with it. Nothing's really happening in the book except cheating. And people are supposed to find this romantic. So, yeah. Apparently the movie is a lot better, which is one of the main reasons I'm reading it, just so I can watch the movie. But we'll see how it ends. Maybe I will be pleasantly surprised. Okay, so as for the books I want to read in 2025, I finally want to read The Great Gatsby. I want to read Jane Eyre. I want to read Catabasis, which is R.F. Kuang's new book. I want to read Fearless and Great Big Beautiful Life. I think someone said, I'm sure there's a Heartstopper Volume 6 coming out this year. I may be wrong though. But either way, I would love to read that. Sunrise on the Reaping. I'm so excited for Sunrise on the Reaping. I just finished watching all of the Hunger Games movies again, and the ending of Mockingjay Part 2 had me crying so much, and Haymitch is just such a great character. He's such a great character, one of my favourites. Maybe even my favourite. Not Quite Dead Yet, Onyx Storm, which I read, The Women, Glass Girl, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, I want to finish. I will finish it. I started it like 2 months ago, but I will finish it. You can hold me accountable for this. A Study in Drowning, which I also kind of started many, many months ago, but yeah. And lastly, Once Upon a Broken Heart, which has been very highly recommended, and the entire reason I read Caraval. Most of these are new releases because in general those are the ones I'm most excited about reading. But I'm sure I'm going to get to lots of other books that I did not plan to read at all. So I guess that's everything. That's a little update on what I've been reading recently. I'm going to try to get out another video soon because I realise I haven't been uploading a lot recently. I'm going to do I still need to record my final reading award video, which I've kind of spoiled here, but I think I'll upload this after that. Thank you for watching the video. Please subscribe if you're new, and hopefully I will see you very, very soon. Goodbye!